Hi, welcome back. I'm Shimelle and I am going to make another page with the Best of Both Worlds kit for August today. And I'm starting with 3 4x6 photos, these three right here. I've added a sheet of white cardstock for my background and I'm going to be using a strip from this Pinkfresh paper, which is called Better Things Are Ahead from the Let's Stay Home collection. And what I want to do is to take one strip here. I'm going to take that row with brightest color and do some good old scrapbook rainbows to go across this 12 by 12. Move these up for a minute. This is going to go right down on the background, about a third of the way up. So I've got about almost 4 inches there, below there. And then these are going to sit over the top. Now, if you wanted to do everything a little bit more square, you could line 3 4x6 up like that, and that will take up the whole page. But the kind of embellishment I'm going to do down here is a little bit more wiggly and wobbly and wonky and all of those things, higgledy-piggledy. So I'm going to make the photos a little bit higgledy-piggledy too. So I'm going to start with this one. And just tiny, tiny, tiny little angles. Nothing that's going to make your head tilt, just enough to give it a little bit of movement going across the page. And these photos are all from a day that we dressed up like the characters in Newsies, which is one of our favorites. Okay, now what I want to do is then go through my kit and find the things that are in these colors to then match stuff up through this bottom space here at the bottom of the page. So I've got my sticker sheets, I've got cut-aparts. Let's find all the things that match. So I'm going to bring out my block so I've got something to stick things to. So I have this Your Peach that can go on the orange. I've got a red flower, and what? A yellow flower and an orange flower. No purple in this rainbow, I just need to go to blue. Got a blue arrow here. Now I have quite a few pieces ready to go. These are all pieces that are cut out, quite a few stars from that Vicky Bouton star paper, which I'm going to use to the very end. And then a whole bunch of stickers over here ready to go from the 2 different sticker sheets in the kit. And then I'm going to do one last thing to add pieces to that. So I'm going to go back to the original piece of paper that I cut the rainbow from. Now it has a color gradient and I've used the darkest one. I'm going to use the lightest one and a tiny punch. Now I also have a tiny heart punch, but because I've started with stars, I'm going to keep going with stars. So I'm going to use this little one. And then I can punch probably 3 to start out. 3 stars from each square on there. So that I then will have 3 pieces to match each color, so that even if there are colors that don't have as many pieces cut out as the others, there will be plenty of little bits to add in. My next step for this process is to take everything in its column and move it down so that it's off the page. So that I've got big pieces like this might need to move up here. But that way I've got a clear space here and I can start to see where I can add everything in. So move all of these down here. And I keep my stickers over here, otherwise they just tend to get stuck to the desk and that is difficult. So I just use this as a sort of prep area. You can also use a craft sheet, of course, anything that just is easier for stickers to peel back up. And if you prefer it, you can, of course, just keep the sticker sheets next to you and work that way, but I like having a visual of how much I have in each color. Okay, then I start with the largest elements per color. So this orange has two really big pieces, so they're going to go first. This one has a little corner that needs better trim. And then that's going to go right down there. And then that next giant star element can overlap a little bit. And you can do this technique with pieces overlapping, without pieces overlapping, or some of either. There's no right wrong way there. So that one is going to come right up here. Now the way I'm choosing the position is so that I get open spaces. If I did this, I end up with this odd white triangle in the middle. That doesn't make me all that happy. So if I bring that down, then I could also end up with an odd white triangle here. That one doesn't bother me quite as much, but I prefer to avoid it altogether if I can. And just open up those spaces so that now this white flies right across there. Okay. Then other large pieces that I've got. Well, I've got this blue star that's going to go off the right hand side because this went off the side of the pattern paper, so it's not a complete star, but that's okay. I'm just going to pop it right on that edge and then it makes sense. Larger element here. Larger element here. If the record player and the cassette tape aren't making a lot of sense to you, this show is musical, so it made sense to me. I'm also okay with putting things on that don't make a lot of sense, but in this case, they did make sense to me. Yellow star here. And basically, I want to take these embellishments in color columns loosely from here. So something on each color should overlap the box all the way down to the bottom edge. And you can take it over the bottom edge and cut off the excess, or you can stop before the bottom. Now sometimes you get a color that will work well with two columns. So this is a kind of yellowy star, but it has this little bit of what ends up quite pinkish because it's actually the orange, but on the other pattern paper it looks orange, but here next to that pink it looks pink. So then I'm going to put that into the column so that you get that little bit of carry across. Yeah. Okay. A few larger elements from the stickers. My process with a set of embellishments like this is that things will often move. So don't panic if you think you've put pieces down on your page and you're not particularly liking them. Sometimes this sort of embellishment style just needs a little evolution. So I kind of work on another part of the page and then find where things might move. So I just want to let you know that that might be happening here. But I'm going to move up to the top of the page now where I really want to work in these rainbows. So I've got this rainbow border. And that is going to go up behind these photos here. Well, in theory. There we go. Okay, so I've got my rainbows up there. And then I've got two rainbows here. I think this one fits this color scheme a little bit better. So that may go in there as well. But actually, now that I look at it, it's quite big. I'm going to leave that to the side just for a moment. And then I'm going to use a title that has this in black so that that will stand out against all the rainbow elements. I mean, there's just a tiny bit of black here, but it's not a major element, so it will have a nice bit of contrast to make it a little bit more noticeable. And then what I'm going to try first is taking that bottom star from each color and moving it up to the top. Okay, so those pieces are more spaced out. I'm going to be putting a little bit of journaling up here too. And then looking down at the bottom of the page, things that I don't think are working. I think this one is a little bit too blocky for this spot, so I'm going to take that one off. And there's too much going on here, really. And I think that the problem piece is this big orange box. I really wanted to make it work because I thought it would be a nice sentiment to kind of include just subtly in the album during all the lockdown pages, but I think it'll have to go on a different one. I think it's just too much, so let's see how I can pull it out. I just think having the white visible behind all of this is going to be a lot lighter. I'll just like that a bit more. And then maybe move this floral so that it faces that way. Maybe even bring this up and not have anything go over that bottom edge. There we go. A little bit of journaling down here, and I think I was tempted to move this up to here, but then I think this area will be too crowded, although this is quite crowded. Let's try it. There's a corner there, so I can use that corner. Maybe? It's just the trick of getting it in just the right place. It needs to go somewhere like that. Okay, and that gives me some journaling room here. Yeah, that's starting to work out a little bit better. Let's move these pieces up a little bit. Maybe that star goes all the way up there. Now there's a red piece going off the edge here. this blue piece, and I've got that blue piece going off the edge. This can go off the edge then. There we go. Okay, yeah, and I think those two stay off the layout, and that one. Okay, so those are gone. Right, journaling, a little bit up here, a little bit down here. Here's this one all finished, and since the last time I saw you here on YouTube, I've also done this one on Facebook, so you can always find everything updated on Shimelle.com, where I am putting both the Facebook and the YouTube videos and the pictures of the projects, so that you can follow along with everything that I've made from 1 month's Best of Both Worlds kit. Thanks so much for joining me here, and if you enjoyed it, I would love for you to give a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can come back and see the next video too. See you soon. Bye-bye.